My wife tried to divorce me for money, until I said, "You get nothing. It's all in my mom's name." Now she's broke and begging. My name's William. I'm 42, living in Ohio, and until a few months ago, I believed I had a solid marriage. My wife, Lily, and I had been together for almost 12 years. We met in our late 20s, both driven, both ambitious. At the time, she worked as a marketing consultant, and I was hustling to grow a small construction business I'd started with a loan from my mother. Life wasn't always easy. The first few years were tight financially. Long hours, skipped vacations, old cars, the typical grind of building something from scratch. But eventually, it paid off. The business grew. We bought a decent home, traveled a bit more, and finally started living comfortably. Or at least, that's what I thought. But here's the thing, success changes people. Sometimes it brings out the best, sometimes the worst. About 6 months ago, I started noticing Lily becoming distant. At first, it was subtle. Fewer texts during the day. She started going out more with her friends, happy hours, girls' trips, weekend getaways that never used to happen before. I'm not the suspicious type. I trusted her. Maybe too much. One evening, after she came back from one of her so-called work trips, she sat me down. Her face looked cold, unfamiliar, like I was staring at someone I didn't really know anymore. "William," she started, "I've been thinking a lot about us, and I just can't do this anymore." I sat there quietly, waiting. She continued, "You've changed. You're not the man I married. Honestly, you're not attractive to me anymore. I want a divorce." It felt like someone turned the volume down in the room. I heard her words, but it didn't register immediately. And then, she dropped the real bomb. "And I expect half. Half the house. Half of everything." That's when I realized this wasn't about attraction. This wasn't about love. This was about money. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. Instead, I leaned back, looked her straight in the eye, and said calmly, "Lily, everything's in my mother's name." For the first time in that entire conversation, her confident little speech cracked. Let me back up for a second. When I started my business years ago, my mother, who's smart as hell, insisted the business be registered under her name until it was fully stable. As things grew, we just never switched it. The house. Same deal. I technically pay the mortgage, but the deed is in my mother's name. It wasn't because I didn't trust Lily back then. It was just how things worked out. Lily had no idea. She sat there frozen for a few seconds. What do you mean?" she finally asked. I opened my drawer, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the table. "Everything you think you're entitled to isn't legally mine." She flipped through the documents. Her face turned pale. The mortgage, the business licenses, the bank accounts tied to the business, all under my mother's name or the LLC in her name. "Why you can't do this?" she stammered. "You were ready to leave me for money," I replied. "You thought I was just going to roll over?" The silence after that was suffocating. She stood up abruptly, knocking her chair back. "You'll hear from my lawyer." I nodded. "Please, let them call." She grabbed her purse and stormed out. I sat there for a moment, processing everything. 12 years together, and this is how it ends. But this wasn't the end. Not even close. The next morning, I woke up expecting an avalanche of angry texts or maybe a voicemail full of insults. Instead, silence. Complete radio silence. It was almost funny. She was so confident last night, throwing around demands and threats. But reality hit her like a brick. And it wasn't just the house and the business. Even the savings account she assumed was ours was actually part of the company operating funds under my mother's LLC. The personal account? Sure, there was some money there, but nothing close to what she thought she was walking away with. By noon, the first email from her lawyer landed in my inbox. Straightforward. Predictable. "Our client is requesting the division of marital assets. Blah blah." I forwarded it straight to my attorney, a guy named Greg, who's been with me since the early days of the business. Greg called me an hour later. "William, I've seen some gold diggers in my career, but this one she played herself." "Yeah," I sighed. "Tell me something I don't know." The legal process started moving. Lily's lawyer quickly realized there wasn't much to claim. Our house. Not marital property, my mother legally owned it. The business? Same story. Even the cars were technically under the company name, leased through the business for tax purposes. All she was legally entitled to was a split of the actual liquid marital assets, which wasn't nearly as much as she'd expected. Definitely not the comfortable payout she had in her head. A few days later, mutual friends started reaching out. Apparently, Lily had been telling people for months that she was planning to leave me. She'd been painting this narrative that I was boring, unattractive, and too focused on work, all while she was getting ready to cash out and upgrade her life. But when the news spread that she wasn't getting the jackpot she expected, the sympathy dried up fast. People started whispering. Some mutual friends quietly distanced themselves from her. Then came the real kicker. I started getting messages from men. Some I knew, some I didn't. Screenshots, text threads, photos. Apparently, while I was grinding away, working late, building our future, Lily had been busy entertaining more than just girls' nights. Affairs. Multiple. Not just one slip-up. Not just one mistake. This had been a pattern. It hurt. God, it did. As much as I wanted to pretend I was above it, that kind of betrayal hits deep. But instead of confronting her, I did something better. I let the lawyers handle the divorce, and I focused on something far more important, protecting what I'd built. I met with my CPA, cleaned up every bit of financial paperwork, moved what little was left in our joint accounts, and secured everything legally. A week later, Lily showed up at my office unannounced. I heard the front desk buzz before I even saw her. I walked out. "What are you doing here?" Her face looked different. No makeup, puffy eyes, like she hadn't slept. "We need to talk," she said quietly. "There's nothing to talk about," I replied, keeping my tone flat. She shifted, looking uncomfortable. "Look, maybe we moved too fast. Maybe we can work this out." There it was. The moment when reality fully caught up to her. "Lily, you didn't want me, remember? I wasn't attractive anymore." She blinked, caught off guard. "I didn't mean it like that. I was upset. I didn't realize how much this would hurt both of us." "No, you realized. You just didn't expect the outcome to look like this." She looked down. "Please, can we just talk?" I crossed my arms. "You'll need to talk to my lawyer." I walked back into my office, closed the door, and left her standing there in the lobby. But this wasn't over yet. Not for her. Not even close. A few days after she showed up at my office, the emails started. Then the texts. Then the calls. "William, please. Let's just talk. I made a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. I was stressed, confused. You know I didn't mean it when I said those things." I didn't reply. Not once. I wasn't being petty. I was being free. I'd spent years assuming we were building something together. Turns out, I was building it alone. She was just waiting for the moment to cash in. The divorce moved fast. Once her lawyer realized there wasn't some secret pile of wealth to grab, the negotiations fizzled out. She got what the court considered fair, a modest split of our actual shared cash assets. No house, no business, no cars, no retirement funds tied to the business. Nothing else. It was legal. It was clean. And it was final. A week after the papers were signed, a mutual friend, one of the few who still talked to her, messaged me. "Dude, she's falling apart." Her plan blew up in her face. Apparently, the guy Lily had been seeing, the one she secretly thought she'd upgrade to, ghosted her the moment he realized there wasn't a financial payout attached. Just disappeared. Blocked her on everything. She tried crawling back to me, thinking maybe I'd forgive her, maybe I'd take her back. But no, I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I was done. I blocked her number. Unfollowed. Unfriended. Deleted every trace of her from my life. A couple of months passed. I focused on my work, spent more time with friends, picked up hobbies I hadn't touched in years. And for the first time in over a decade, I felt peace. Then, one evening, purely out of curiosity, I checked her social media. Her page had turned into this sad little gallery of inspirational quotes about healing and growth and forgiveness. You know the type. The same person who told me I wasn't attractive enough, who tried to strip me of everything I built, was now posting about how people should value loyalty. Yeah, okay. People reached out to me occasionally, saying they'd bumped into her. She'd try to act like she was doing great, smiling, pretending life was wonderful, but it was all surface. Behind the scenes, she was struggling. Hard. I never wished her harm. Honestly, I didn't. But I also wasn't about to save someone who tried to drown me for a payout. She made her choice. And me? I'm good. Really good. The business is thriving. My family, who always had my back, stood by me through all of it. I've started dating again, but this time with my eyes wide open. No illusions. No rose-colored glasses. Life's funny like that. Sometimes the person you think is your partner turns out to be the storm you needed to survive to finally realize your own worth. So yeah, that's my story. She's crying now, begging me to take her back. But there's no going back. Not now. Not ever. I'm curious, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you have given her another chance? Or walked away like I did? Let me know what you think. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.